So welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. The way this is going to work is that first I'll talk a little bit about why you might want to go to Salt Lake City to the FamilySearch Library. And then and we'll hear a little bit from Cindy, who just got back from there. And then Stuart will talk some about the details of the trip. And then we'll have plenty of time, hopefully, for questions and discussion. And maybe a chance for those who are interested to exchange contact info. So let's see. I'll start my. Oh, and one other favor, if you could just mute yourself for the first part while I'm, my presentation's going, that would be great, just to make sure we don't have any interference. Okay, so the overarching question is, why go to the FamilySearch Library? Isn't everything online? And the shorter answer is no. And another answer is it's also not just about the record availability. So I think there are reasons besides that too.
Evan, I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt, but before you launch into this, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background? A little introduction.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry. So my name's Evan Wilson, and I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. That's where I am right now. And let's see, so I kind of specialize in Southern genealogy, but I've had some experience in other areas too. And I'm also into languages. So I studied medieval studies in grad school. So, I've always enjoyed learning new languages and delving into distant historical periods. And I'm now a professional genealogist, and yeah, that's me. What about you, Stuart?
So I am Stuart Blandon-Trayman. Hello, everybody. You may have seen me around CGS. I certainly know many of you. I have been on the CGS board. I did my 6-year term. I was the secretary of the board for 5 years. I published the e-news for 8 years. And now I'm still volunteering with CGS. I'm a part of the digital archive committee, and we're digitizing lots of our records. Right now, we're working on the vertical files and digitizing those and making those available online. And this is another thing I'm doing with CGS now, is hosting this revival trip with Evan. Hopefully get this started again and start doing annual trips to Salt Lake City with a group of enthusiastic genealogists who want to get the most out of the library. I have been doing genealogy for over 40 years for my family, myself, my husband, my children, and clients and friends. And so it's something I do and think about every single day. So anyway, I hope that as a group, we can have a great time together in our week in October in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
But
And
back to you, Evan.
thanks. Yeah, your intro reminded me of a few things I left out. One of which is that I am now the recording secretary of CGS. So I'm Stuart's successor. And I am delighted to co-organize this trip because I've had some very fun trips to Salt Lake City myself in the last few years, and I'm always excited to go back. So I don't, it's not hard for me to make this case. So yeah, all right. I guess I'll launch into it. So the FamilySearch Library is the largest genealogical library in the world. It's got, 340,000 books or more, periodicals, maps, microfilms, microfiche, and it's arranged. It's got 4 floors of collections, and they each have a different focus or medium or genre. So, you have US and Canadian books, US and Canadian films, international films and maps and microfiche, and international books. And it is, you might already know this, but it's operated, funded, and staffed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka the LDS Church, aka the Mormons, but it is truly open to everyone, and you can waltz right in without having to present any credentials. So the biggest reason why I'm excited to go every time is the book collection, and as well as periodicals. It's probably the best, the biggest reason why that not everything is digitized, essentially. So those include family histories, record abstracts from different, county, state, or national levels, local journals that might have information that, hasn't been digitized, or of course, research guides. And I found that a lot of the best record abstracts out there that have made it possible for me to work on really difficult cases or long ago cases, or make progress on brick walls, are fairly recent, and so they're still under copyright, and therefore they can't be accessed online. And the collection is, fairly complete for a lot of places that I've found. And so they've really tried to actually collect, I think, the majority of what has been published about a lot of jurisdictions. So another reason to go would be to view the microfilm and microfiche collections. And of course, the majority of their microfilm has been digitized, but that's not true of quite all. So one example I've seen is all the deed books from Anderson County, Tennessee, are still on microfilm and not online. And some of those are even, right. And then some of those that have been digitized are restricted to FamilySearch libraries, or even, I think, the FamilySearch library in some cases. So the key is just that everything is in one place. So even though some of those that are digitized would be viewable from a different FamilySearch library, combine that with the books, and you have everything. And also, their microfilm loan program has ended, making it necessary to go view them. So this kind of goes with the published materials, but the book scanners have really changed the way I do genealogy, and it's one of the most powerful tools I have seen. And essentially, they now have a lot of overhead scanners that are super fast. So this is what they look like. I even got one myself because they're not super expensive, but they're kind of hard to carry around. But essentially, they have a foot pedal, and you just click. You lay the book face up, and every time you want to take an image, you push the pedal, and it clicks and takes a photo of both sides. And it has powerful software that will automatically straighten. It'll separate it by each page, and it'll straighten it automatically. And so you can actually scan an entire book in 10 to 20 minutes. You could, I was regularly scanning, tens of books a day when I was there. And I checked, and yes, that is legal. So in case you're worried about that, the issue comes if you're wanting to distribute it to other people. And there are a lot of conditions about what cases that is okay to do and not. But if it's for your personal use, that is fine. And so so going with that, I might recommend purchasing an what's called an OCR program for your computer. OCR is optical character recognition. So essentially, it's making a PDF machine readable so that you can search it for a name, for example. But we can get to that later. I don't want to overwhelm you with technical details, but the benefit of these scanners for me is that I'm able to actually build up a collection of searchable documents, searchable PDFs. I can do, all the deeds and wills from this county in this period, and just in seconds I can find out if someone, if a family was mentioned there. Let's see. Okay. So it's also just a really nice place to work, and especially since they renovated it several years ago. One part of that is that they have some great staff members, and I've heard, people telling stories about staff members who were experts in different areas of research, different languages. So, one person wrote that, they went there and they were trying to do Swedish research, and there were volunteers who had done missions in Sweden who were able to translate every record I found and then steer me to the next. And I read another person who was trying to read documents from the 17th century in, what's called secretary hand. They can be really hard to read if you're not trained in it, and they were able to get help with that too. And they now have a system where you can actually request help in a specific subject from a computer to make sure that they can send the person who is best able to help you in a certain area. And so all this stuff together just kind of means a nice research flow and a just, a powerful kind of research experience because of having their collection under one roof and being able to go from place to place, from county to county, from country to country, especially since, of course, all of our ancestors migrated at some point. Okay. And a little bit about the remodel. So they now have better lighting, a lot more scanners. They have adjustable desks and really nice computer workstations with multiple monitors for each station, and also just nice tables that you can sit at and use the books or do your own work. And of course, another aspect of why this would be great is just the structure of the trip. So we'll have 2 group dinners together at the beginning and the end, and breakfast every morning. It's included with the room, and an optional lunch together. So we'll have a lot of time together to motivate each other and bounce ideas off of each other, and just the kind of the power of giving yourself 4 or 5 days of research time, an excuse to work on your passion project or your brick walls, whatever you've kind of been meaning to get to at home but haven't been able to. And we'll also have a structure in place to encourage you to create a research plan ahead of time, because planning is key to getting the most out of this. You want to focus on the things that you can only get there, especially. And we will also be around to chat or offer assistance, insofar as we can. And of course, we're not experts on everything by any means, but we are happy to, answer any questions that we can, or, kind of offer any opinions. So that's all I've got. So Cindy, if you're there, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your recent trip. Let's see, let me stop sharing here.
Yeah, so I just went, was it a couple weeks ago, late March, I guess. Oh, was it that long ago? And it was my first time to Salt Lake. And it was wonderful. And, I had a plan when I went, but oftentimes things get serendipitous. And I found just by browsing the stacks for the country that I was interested, or the state, I found things I didn't know to look for. And that I got so much out of that. I found so many books. I looked online to see if I could buy them when I got home. Some I couldn't find anywhere. So I scanned either whole books or sections of books. I found an 800 book, page, really good book on how to do genealogy in Australia.
Hmm.
And it was, I scanned excerpts of it. Another good place where I had real good luck was the map section, because, you know, as you all know, country boundaries change over time. And if you want to get a pic, you know, a map of a country at a certain period of time, I mean, I looked all over for a map of Korea before partition in 1948, where there are plenty of towns and cities depicted. And I found one there. It was a 1904 map. So, you know, go through the map section. It's so, I'm going back. There's no question about it. I really enjoyed my trip and got a lot out of it.
Great. Yeah, that's a good pointer about the map collection. I actually haven't managed to use it in the past, and so I'd love to check it out this time. Great. So what you mentioned Australia and Korea. Were there other places that you were?
Hawaii as well,
Hawaii?
the three of them. And
Nice.
I have a huge library on Hawaii, and
Interesting.
didn't think I'd find too many surprises there. And I was pretty amazed. They're books I'd never even heard of.
Hmm.
They're no longer in print. Just wonderful books about history of Hawaii at different periods of time, and some maps that I, you know, in some of the books that I didn't know existed. You know, oral histories that were
Yeah.
published, and boy, I tell you, I was in book heaven between the books and the maps. I really, and they are very helpful there. The scanners are very efficient. They're not completely intuitive, I found. I mean, I wasn't sure at one point when I was
Hmm.
done scanning how I saved it, but once you got it figured out, it goes very smoothly. Um, it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of why I always value library research, which is just sort of knowing what is out there, kind of knowing what to look for, because only when you see a shelf of a good chunk of the books ever published about Hawaiian genealogy, for example, do you realize, oh, there's this whole record set that might be useful to me, right? That's part of that serendipity to me. Yeah, well, thanks, Cindy. Should we go to Stuart's segment now? I guess, sh yeah, maybe should we hold off questions until
Yep.
Stuart's done his? Okay,
Yeah, because I might be answering a lot of people's questions in the next
there you
few
go.
minutes.
All right.
So I'm sharing my screen. And so this is the handout, and you should have that handout as well. It was linked to the email invitation to this meeting. You'll see something that says SLC info. Click on that and you'll get a PDF version of what I'm showing right now on the screen. And these are just quick bullet points about the trip, giving you as many details as we can about what we know so far. So you are responsible for booking your own flight and paying for your own flight to and from Salt Lake, or if you choose to drive, however you want to get there. I've been doing a little bit of research, and Southwest and Delta offer the best prices, in my opinion. And just looking at their websites, not through Kayak or Expedia or any other sites like that, but going directly to their websites, it seems like Southwest will cost about $245 and Delta will cost at least $267 round trip for both of them. And that's the most economy kind of ticket you can get. Obviously, if you want to go business class or first class or anything like that, that's all up to you. We plan to arrive on Monday, the 9th of October, and hotel check-in is at 3 p.m. If you arrive much earlier, the hotel can store your bag, but you probably will not be allowed into a room. Our welcome dinner that night is going to be about 6:30 p.m. So think about arriving in Salt Lake with enough time to settle in, get cleaned up, rest a little bit before heading off to dinner. And then we're going to depart on Saturday, the 14th of October, and hotel checkout is at 11 a.m. So Saturday, the library is open. So say you check out of the hotel and you still go to the library and do more and more research, and then you catch a flight at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., or even later. That's all up to you. If you want to stay for more nights in the hotel, either arrive on the 8th or the 7th or before, or if you want to leave on the 15th, 16th, or whatever it might be, if you want to extend this trip out, we can arrange for the hotel to give you the same rates that we're paying as a group. So let us know if you want to extend your trip either before or afterwards. Once you arrive at the airport, the easiest way to get to the hotel is by taking TRAX. TRAX is Salt Lake City's light rail, and you can catch it from the airport. It's $3.50 for a one-way ticket. It's a 20-minute ride, and you'd get off at Temple Square Station. I'll show you this map down here below. Obviously, there's also taxis, there's Ubers, there's Lyft. You can do all those kinds of transportations as well. But TRAX is the least expensive. It's just 20 minutes away. It's a very easy ride. So we are going to be staying at the Radisson Hotel, Salt Lake City downtown. Make sure, if you're looking for the hotel, make sure you go to this link for the Salt Lake City downtown, because there is a Radisson Hotel at the airport. We're not staying there. We're staying in downtown. And that's the address on South Temple, and there's the phone number for you. So breakfast is included, as Evan said. Right now we're just giving a few names over to the hotel. Those people who are confirmed and paid, they have your number, they have your name, and they're assigning reservation numbers to everyone. When we get a full list of reservation numbers, we'll hand them out to you, so that's just maybe a little bit easier to check in when you arrive. You can do a double occupancy or a single occupancy, as you've seen in the Eventbrite page. So a single occupancy right now is $1,400, and you'd get your own room by yourself. A double occupancy, if you're going with a spouse or a partner or a friend, you can do a double occupancy room, which is a bit cheaper. It's $950. Or you can just do a double occupancy, and we can find you a partner who also wants to do a double occupancy. So, let us know if you're looking for someone to share with. So here is our map, and we are here at the Radisson Hotel. It's on West South Temple, and we walk on South Temple out to West Temple, and we get to the Family History Library right there. It's a 6-minute walk. It's only 0.3 miles. Hopefully everyone can do that. If not, we can look into transportation or other means of getting people there who have different abilities. Here is the Temple Square Station. So when you're coming from the airport, you just get off the light rail right here, and walk to the hotel there or walk to the library. So everything's very central. When you look at other maps of of downtown Salt Lake, you'll see that right over on this section over here, which is not shown, is where the major mall is and where a lot of restaurants and shops are. And you'll see that on a map. So the library, as I already showed you on the map, that's its address, phone number, its current hours, and we will be there between Monday and Saturday. So every day that we're there, they're going to be open. There is a group tour that we're going to do on Tuesday morning. The time is yet to be determined. We're going to be working that out with the library. There is an article here about how to prepare for your first visit. There's also library layout, so you can see maps of all of the 5 floors of the library. 4 of them have material for you to research with. You can check out the library schedule for classes that are offered while we're there. You might join into a class, and then just plan to do whatever is on your research plan. Just every day you have a task, you have your objectives. Go ahead and accomplish as much as you can each day. And you can find Evan or myself as needed to help research, to ask questions of. And you can find us most easily by text. But I'm going to try to sit in the same place in the library every day and let you know where that is. And see, that's another way that you might be able to find me, but I'm not quite sure of that right now. We'll figure that out when we get there. As Evan mentioned, we are going to have 2 group dinners that are included in the price of your ticket. The restaurants are yet to be determined. We're contacting different Salt Lake restaurants that can seat 20 people or more. And we're going to have a dinner Monday when we arrive. That's our welcome dinner, about 6:30 p.m. And then on Friday night, we're going to have our second dinner. And hopefully at our second dinner, we can share with each other what were the most exciting things that we discovered during our week. If you want to go to a grocery store, there's a great, fun, well-stocked grocery store called Harmon's. It's just a 14-minute walk from the hotel, or you can also take tracks to get there. And this is its address. There are many restaurants at the City Creek Shopping Center. And I gave you that link there, which is also just a 6-minute walk from the hotel. So, you know, we have 2 group meals, but if you're on your own for other lunches and other dinners, and it's really easy to find good places to eat at the City Creek Shopping Center. Breakfast is included at the hotel. So while we're there, you can just invite your fellow travelers to impromptu small group lunches or breaks or walks, just to get out of the library a little bit, though everyone wants to spend as much time as possible in the library. So what to bring? And the most important thing is a research plan. What are you going to do while you're there? What are you going to accomplish? We are going to have another meeting. So right now, this meeting is more for people who are thinking about going, haven't quite registered, who want a little bit more information. And so that's what we're going over. But we're also going to meet in September, a month before we go, with all of the people who have actually signed up for the trip. And at that point, we're going to talk a little bit more about a research plan and how important it is to have a research plan when you go. What else to bring? All of your current research in whatever form you want to transport it. Mine is all on my laptop, so that's what I'm bringing. Bring flash drives so that you can save copies or scans well, there's people in the waiting room. Let's admit them. Hello. So bring flash drives. If you do forget your flash drives, the library has them for you, so don't sweat that too much. If you are going to bring a laptop, bring a lock. And I also gave you a link there to see what kind of lock I'm talking about. It's something that you can just hook into your laptop as well as around a table. The weather in October is expected to be around 47 to 66 degrees, so dress accordingly. And we are at a higher altitude, and that does have some effect on some people more than others, but it's just important to stay hydrated while you're out there. Outside of the library, you can visit Temple Square. It's a great place to just walk around. Lots of flowers when you're there in spring. We'll see what it looks like in October. There's also the Tabernacle Choir, and their rehearsals are open to the public on Thursday nights, should you want to do that. There's easy walking around the downtown area. It's pretty flat and lots of shops and restaurants. You can also take tracks, which is that light rail system, and it's free to hop on and hop off in the downtown area. You also have a fitness center, an indoor pool, and a hot tub at the hotel. So this is our contact information. You can contact us at any time. We're also planning to publish a group roster once we have a finalized list of everyone that's going to go with us, which will have your names, phones, and emails. If you do not want your phone or email published to the whole group, please let us know, so we won't include that when we publish the roster of all the participants. Okay, so that is all that I wanted to share with you as well. And what time are we at? It's only 2:30. We got through that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I think now we can just open it up to questions, comments, anything that's on your mind. Both Evan and I will do our best to field your questions.
If you've never been to a family library before, do you think it would be beneficial at all to go to the Oakland one or something, just to kind of see how it is?
Absolutely. I think that's a excellent thing to do. Go to the Oakland Library and see. I mean, they are, what would you say, Evan? They're
Mhm.
10 times smaller than the one in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So they have a small collection of books. They have several computers. They have lots of helpful people. So you can get a sense of what a family history library is like, certainly before you hit the big show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if you, so one thing that would be good to have, if
Gonna
you don't
stop
already,
sharing.
of course, would be a FamilySearch account. I don't know if you might already, but it could be a useful way to get that set up, if you want any help with that. Um, and by the way, I was just able to confirm that it is a breakfast buffet. So just to
Great.
answer one of Diane's questions. Yeah.
I see Vanessa has her hand up.
Hi. What can you bring with you into the library? And then once you're there, do you move from station to station as you work with film and books? Or are you at one station for most of the time that you're in the library?
So I've entered the library with my luggage and never been stopped. So I don't think they really, it's not like an archives where they kind of restrict what you can bring in. I believe they have a place to like lockers on the ground floor, but I should double check that. And once you're there, I would say, you might want to move around if you're looking at different, um, you know, different kinds of things in their collection, but it's pretty easy to stay in one place if you're, if you have a workstation. I mean, I think, you could probably stay in one place for
Right.
computer stuff.
Right. Well, I can say it's relatively a safe place. That the key word being relative. Always, something can always happen, unfortunately. But I have left my laptop locked to the table, and my notes and my research, and just leave it there. And I go off into the stacks and I look for books and books, and come back with a whole stack of books back to my station. I generally stay in one place. I don't move around unless there's the international floors and there's the US Canadian floors. I might do US Canadian research one day and then station myself on the international floor on another day. But when I'm on a floor, I tend to stay in the same place and bring stuff to my laptop. That's the way I work. Everyone certainly is different. But what can you bring? You generally don't bring food into the library. You can bring water. I'm trying to think about, Evan, what would be restricted from bringing into the library? Guns, knives, bombs?
Yeah, probably. I don't remember being searched. They have a very friendly greeter person who is probably also keeping an eye on security, I'm sure. But and they do have lockers in the main floor. I don't know if they're big enough for like a roller bag, but it's a pretty friendly place. And I would think, you could ask them, oh, can I leave my bag behind your desk? And I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions there, but it's pretty low. It's pretty easy to walk in with whatever you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So before I get to Karen, I see that there's a couple questions in the chat. So Sterling is asking, are the computers at FamilySearch Windows or Mac? I believe that they are all Windows based. I've never seen a Mac computer there. Okay. And then Kathy says, are you aware that Temple Square is under construction and not walkable? I was not aware of that. We can look into that, and hopefully their construction will be over by October. But I'm making another note to take a look at that. Karen, what's your question?
Well, this is not to do with genealogy, but is that great cafeteria still open across the street?
We've heard that it's no longer open to the public.
Really?
The one in the LDS office building?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Because of COVID, it was closed to the public, and right now it remains closed to the public.
then my other question was, is there a reason we're not going to the Plaza Hotel?
We considered it. Someone, a CGS member who lives locally, said it was her impression that it's
Seedy?
a little seedy. Yeah.
It's not as nice as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's just so close. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
very close. It's closer.
Yeah.
It's changed hands, and it's just not as nice as it used to be.
Okay.
But I would be interested in checking it out while we're there. you know, just to see if that would be, you know, to see to what
An
extent the
option.
rumors are true.
Yeah.
But you know, we didn't want to risk it if it is a little bit seedy now.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
The plaza lost its restaurant too. Okay, thank you, Kathy. And then Cindy, there are lockers on every floor.
Mm.
Can't move books or films between floors. Okay, so if you're in the international floor and you're looking at international material, you should leave it on that floor. You shouldn't take it anywhere else. Thank you, Cindy. And then I see Susan said, do you think it's a good idea to come a day early for a look around Salt Lake, trolley tour, etc., if we've never been there before? Absolutely. Be a tourist. Go and have some fun. If you can, by time and budget, show up early or stay late, by all means do so. Salt Lake is a interesting city to walk around. So that's completely up to you.
And the you know, it's right next door to the, you know, the sort of informally called the Church Museum, that is actually very well curated and presented and informative. So I mean, I actually enjoyed walking around it. You know, you might have some, you know, very friendly missionaries who try and talk to you, and you can engage them or not. But it's, yeah, there's some nice museums around too.
Karen, you still have your hand raised? Do you have another question? No. Okay. How many first timers do we have? Can we see a show of hands? So we have Joan and Vanessa and Sterling and Diane. So we have quite a few.
Yeah.
And Van, I think you had your hand up as well. And Susan, yeah, that's at least 6 people that are new first timers for Salt Lake. Great. So you certainly have Evan and I, who have been to the library many times, and we're happy to help you with everything, but there may be some other people in the group who are also well experienced, and we can all learn from each other. Diane Fishburne asks, anyone going to NGS next week? I am not, but Evan is.
I'll be there. Yeah.
So usually we try to get a group of CGSers at whatever conference that we're going to, whatever conference is happening. So through the app or through some other vehicle, look for communications from CGS about getting together.
This is Diane again. Has anybody been to the Salt Lake Library, Salt Lake Airport recently?
I was there a year ago in March. That was the last time.
Because I was told a person that I know had to get a wheelchair because it was like over 1.5 miles from getting off at Southwest to where you get the trolley, I guess.
Cindy, do you have experience with that recently?
Yes, it is a very long. I've been to many airports, the longest walk I've ever made, but you get your steps in. They're gonna,
Okay.
I think they're building a tram for that, but it won't be ready for another year or two.
Okay. And if you have limited mobility, then maybe walking out to the track station is not the best plan for you. Maybe you want to go right out to the taxi stand and take a taxi.
I have a specific area of research that I'm working on with a cousin of mine. We've been working on it for some time, and we've been able to go back 10 generations on several lines of our family.
Fantastic.
Yes, and however, sadly, and now I'm finding out it's not at all unusual, we have discovered 40 plus enslavers in our family. So our area of research, we want to work in that area. We want to find out who was enslaved. We also want to know if perhaps we have African-American relatives. So would a trip like this be a benefit to me? Is there that kind of information available?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, so I can relate because I'm from the South, and, you know, definitely parts of my family held slaves. And, you know, in my experience, with enslaved genealogy, it's kind of, similar to, I mean, it's important to get local and, I mean, follow probate records. The Freedmen's Bureau records, I think, are pretty much accessible online. But if you're drilling down into a specific place, having access to abstracted records could be really useful. The kinds of records I would use to try and work around those would be, probate records. Sometimes tax records will actually
Yes.
list the names of enslaved people. Deeds of
Wills, we've looked at wills,
deeds
you know,
of
that
gift,
kind of thing. too.
yeah, all sorts of, and so, I mean, it's some of those things you could certainly access from home, often on FamilySearch, right? With the deeds, or especially on FamilySearch. There could be county historical journals that have more, more kind of local memories. What I might recommend would be checking out the FamilySearch catalog for the places where the enslaving ancestors lived.
Okay,
And this is just the familysearch.org/catalog, I think, is the
Okay.
And you can select accessible at the FamilySearch library,
yes,
and that'll show you the books they have that are about that place that that wouldn't necessarily be online. So
great, thank you.
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
Oh, any other questions? Just looking at the time, I just have about 15 minutes left. We have 10 people signed up for the trip so far. Thank you so much for signing up. We are hoping to get 20 people on the trip, and we are going to max and cap it at 30 because 30 is a large group to try to manage, especially trying to get restaurant reservations for 30 people. But we're hoping to get at least 20 and maybe somewhere between 20 to 30 people to go on this trip. So there are spots left, and I hope that right now you are logging into our Eventbrite page and doing your registration.